If you watched tonight's episode of what is laughingly referred to as a debate, if you had the chance to watch that, any moment of it, from the first, literally, and I use that term correctly, from the first 5 minutes, specifically from the time that the president, your president, shuffled out before the world and looked with that glassy, muddled, confused, strange affectation, the whispered, breathy, confused affect, flat affect, the staring off, a huge brain fart during one of the courses of this. Huge. President Trump was a gentleman. He could have gone in for the kill. He could have been absolutely brutal, barbaric, but he didn't. His voice was measured. The restrictions and the strictures put on both of them actually, I think, benefited both. But it also added a weird eeriness to the event because there was no audience, because there were no people there to allow you to focus maybe on others, to distract from the emptiness, the deafening crickets after some gaffe or freeze, because none of that took place. And if I saw correctly, they turned Biden's mic off. It wasn't for Trump. It was for Biden to either hide coughing. They actually blamed a cold. The White House blamed a cold. These are the same people who, during the G7 horror show, when Biden was walking around seemingly disconnected, they were the same people who said, "Oh no, he was off chatting with some of the skydivers." That was a cheap fake. They actually did this. They had that bewigged moonbat Karine Jean-Pierre actually say that somehow the perspective was changed, or some kind of weird parallax was involved where the perception was he was talking to no one when in fact he was talking, and such is not the case. I have pinned on my Twitter X account something from July the 13th of 2022. So it's good 2 years ago. And I said that Newsom will be the Democratic nominee despite threats of exposure regarding his putatively sordid, rancid past. There's always this idea that his background was so concupiscent that he would be somehow precluded from running, which is absurd. But I've been saying Gavin Newsom, and tonight cinched it. You're not going to see Biden. They're going nuts right now. They are freaking out. And what I don't understand is we've known this since Corn Pop. This was 2017. He was showing signs of this lunacy then. His voice was stronger, but that's not it. Corn Pop and the blonde hairs in the pool and these weird fictionalized stories of daring do and threatening to take people out. The hypersexuality. Do any of you find people have members, perhaps maybe an uncle or, God forbid, a father or somebody who, during their particular case of dementia, might have been a bit hypersexualized, saying things that were inappropriate, perhaps acting out in a way that you've never seen before? One of the classic symptoms of this was way back. And the thing I don't understand is, how do they allow this to take place? Sean Martin, our first super chat commentator, says Biden has the delegates. What about democracy? He'd have to step aside. Yes. Well, you see, he has delegates, and there's this weird thing called super delegates. Remember that? Super delegates was a way to get back at during the McGovern years, when the Democratic Party became so lunatic left that they said, we have to do something. So super delegates came in. Look, let me tell you something. When Jill had to come out again, it's over. As we speak, it's done. And the person most relieved about this is Biden. He did what he had to do. And let me tell you something, and I'm very proud of this. I feel pity. It was cruel. I felt pity to see anybody put on worldview. Listen to me, especially you, great young folks, part of our new generation. Many of us studied this for a long time. And for the most part, debates were pretty unimportant. Nothing really happened. Nothing that noteworthy. Oh, there was a few gaffes here and there. George Herbert Walker Bush looked at his watch one time. There were some references to the Soviet Union, Gerald Ford, I think the best gaffe ever. He was trying to say the right thing, but it came out awful. He said that there was no Soviet influence or control over Eastern Europe, which is just preposterous. But those were nothing. Those are all unremarkable. What you saw tonight was one for the history books. And the entire world is laughing at us. Laughing more. Ronald Reagan was laughed at. Ronald Reagan was 77 when he left office after 2 terms. And this is not about age. I just told you I recently had a friend who passed away. He was 103. And when I say sharp, I mean to the day he died. Who even told me then, he says, I'm not too sure about this Biden fellow. And he was 102 then. Paul Thunkum says, it was painful watching Biden try to do math in his head live. It was horrible. Paul, I'm telling you, it was cruel. It was cruel. Brian Himura says, who was advising Trump? I've noticed I don't see this campaign manager or many people from his camp. Is that the plan? He seems to be doing much better than last time he ran. He does. And he is. And I think Brian, or Bruzen, I think what Trump is doing differently now is he recognizes that there are very few people that he can really trust. And I think he's doing things more instinctually, plus, 4 years on the job training. is something that is just an unmistakable or incredible and unparalleled benefit. But let me remind you again of what I was saying. The world is laughing at us. The White House is freaking out. The Democratic Party is freaking out. The donors are going berserk. And what did I tell you? I told you something a while back, and I hope you listen to me, because it's me, it's your Uncle Lenny here, and I got to get comfortable here. I've been up for a while and loving this. I can't sleep, nor what I want to. What I watched tonight was not Fox News, which was so boring. First of all, let me just say something. I don't watch Fox News unless something like this happens. Harold Ford Jr., Karl Rove with this little magic slate. What are you people? What do you have, a death wish? What did I do to deserve this? No, I went to CNN. David Axelrod is saying, it's done. That's where you go. You go to the channel and the network and the people and the platform who are 100% sock puppets in it. They're getting the direct message from the supreme overlords of the shadow government who were saying, go ahead and say this. Van Jones, that's an interesting feller. Van Jones was saying, I love Joe Biden. I love Joe Biden. And it kills me to see this. It kills me to say this. It kills me. But he can't do this. It's over. To go out and to be humiliated, I don't care who you are, in front of the world. The world. And who were the people who said, we're going to allow this to happen? Listen, if they put their minds to it, if they decide that they are going to stop this, nobody will change their mind. They will tell him in no uncertain terms, you're done, you're through. Now, there are so many considerations right now. There's so much threat over him. He's working for free. We're finding out that how many times did he mortgage that home? And what? Did you hear that? Was it 30 times? I must be misquoting it. Legal fees with Hunter. Embarrassment with Hunter. They own him. Do you know what they most probably found on that laptop? Oh, dear God. Dear God. Dear God. We can only imagine. They owned Biden. And the good news for him, Joe probably said, it's over. If she feels any amount of love for him, that was cruel. But the world's laughing at us. The world is laughing at us. They're talking about Putin and Ukraine, and what do they do? Watch the spin tomorrow. Do me a favor. Do not watch Fox News or that soon to be defunct Newsmax. That's not where to go. Watch CNN. Forget MSDNC, but CNN. They're still the kind of the paterfamilias of the group. They're the ones who get the word from the people involved, from the shadow government overlords. They're the ones who get it. And to a person. And they had on an ex-Trump staffer who was fantastic, who said Joe couldn't even explain who could not explain the abortion rules or what the abortion issue is. And Trump, I will say this again, was a gentleman. Trump was a gentleman. Trump was kind. Did you see fairly early in the Little Bighorn, this disaster? I think I mentioned this before. I've been talking to many people tonight, but there was a brain fart. And I said, oh no. And I'm feeling for him because I don't like people being embarrassed. Just a human being, one human to another. One human to another. And Trump even looked at him and almost said, like, you see, it was weird because the audience wasn't there. And again, I'm thinking, maybe I am a conspiracy theorist. Maybe I am. Because I'm thinking either there is a conspiracy, a group conspiring, a confederation of people trying to promote this poor, ill man as something that he is clearly not. Or I live in a parallel universe. And I live in a parallel universe where I'm the only one who recognizes what is happening here. Putin is laughing his ass off. And if I were Putin, I would say, you're worried about me still repeating this trope that he wants Poland and what Belarus is a part of NATO? I don't even know what he was saying. I couldn't follow it. The Adderall was really mismatched at first. And to think he spent a week at Camp David for what? What was this week for? What did he do? Why a week? You know what I heard? What I heard, the reason for the week was in order to get him used to standing for 90 minutes. Think about that. Now, I'm also going to say something which may not coincide with my empathic feeling of pity that I have for him, but I'm going to say it nonetheless. I don't care what you do with him on his own time. I don't care what you do. It doesn't matter to me whether Biden lives in Wilmington or the White House. I don't. The Hunter. But this man is theoretically running the country. This man theoretically is being told what to do. This man theoretically could initiate a nuclear conflagration, a nuclear encounter. He can order troops into battle. He can sign executive orders, signing statements. He is in his most vulnerable. Are they going to kick in the 25th Amendment? Kamala Harris and Trump was utterly and absolutely brilliant tonight. 78 years old. It was his most statesman. He had to be a little Trump. If he was too Galbraithian, we wouldn't have recognized him. We would have thought he was acting like a phony. He wouldn't be the Trump that we've come to love and respect. It was incredible what we were seeing. He was magnificent. He's Dorian Gray. He does not age. He's Benjamin Button or something. I'm not trying to be overly unctuous in my encomia, but I must say, he does not seem to age. He looks identical to what he was when he first ran. On a different note, I just think he looks better. Show us little gray. You've earned it. There's nothing wrong with that. You've earned it. In any event, you saw history tonight. There was the Bernard. What was his name from CNN? Bernard, not Cow, but in any event, he was the African-American gentleman, the anchor, who asked Michael Dukakis if your wife, Kitty Dukakis, this was during the Larry Horton, remember that one, the ad, but what would you think if someone murdered and assaulted your wife? Would you demand the death penalty for him? And he said, no, Bernard Shaw. He goes, no, Bernard, I would not. And everybody thought, now that wasn't the end of it. That wasn't the end of his career just because of that event. But Willie Horton, excuse me, not Larry Horton. Larry Horton is the donut magnet, I believe. But no, in that case, interestingly enough, that was different. That didn't end anything. Dukakis was falling apart no matter what. That wasn't the issue. There were some moments where Mondale, where Reagan was just superb. And it wasn't really a gaffe. There was never a big gaffe up till now. And this was at a school. Dan Quayle misspelled potato. And the Lloyd Benson moment where he said, Jack Kennedy was such and such. And Lloyd Benson said, I knew Jack Kennedy. Jack Kennedy was a friend of mine. And you, sir, know Jack Kennedy. That was one of the greatest lines. That wasn't anything terrible. Thank you, Howie Brown. Gifting 5 Lionel Nation memberships. Thank you, sir. That wasn't it. That was a moment. That was interesting. 1960 debate. The story they always talk about, it was really the first time that television became important. And television, it created the notion and created the event where it wasn't about what you said, but how you look. How you look. How you sound. That's what it was. And they always say the same thing. The Nixon won on TV, but lost on the radio. They just repeat themselves. There was nothing. They were both terrific. JFK looked better. JFK, when they asked Nixon, do you want makeup? And JFK said, oh, I don't. And Nixon said, well, I don't either. He had that 5 o'clock shadow. They also talk about the 5 o'clock shadow. Anyway, that was nothing. What you saw tonight was Little Bighorn. It was a disaster. It was worse than anything I could ever imagine. How did anybody allow that to happen? How does educational doctor, Jill Biden allow her husband to go through that? This is what he's known for. This is an enfeebled, wizened dotard, a man hobbled, shelved by dotage, senescence. It was incredible. We've never seen this before. I mean, remember one time who was it? Yeltsin was drunk a couple of times, and I think maybe, we heard stories about Woodrow Wilson. I mean, they were true, but when he had a stroke, we didn't see him. Ike had like 5 heart attacks. Didn't really see it. It was okay. Reagan had his colonoscopy and his being shot. He was okay. We've never seen anything like this. I'm trying to think. Was it Pinochet maybe? Who towards the end of his reign, he looked ancient? I don't know. I'm humiliated as an American. I'm humiliated. This is our president. Do you know what people are planning now? Now is the best time to do it. And by the way, and that was the word tonight. That was the word. By the way was the word. Paul Thankum says, I wanted to see Trump versus Biden at golf. Now that exchange was awesome. Yes, you know, Donald Trump is an incredible golfer. Seriously. I mean, he's not lying. Recently, they showed a couple of his drives, and I mean, he's good. Hell, he plays every day. That notwithstanding, I'm glad we were able to be a part of this tonight. It's over for Biden. Donald Trump just won. Donald Trump, they should have just said, let's have the vote now. In fact, let's just bypass the vote. Everything you've heard, it's over. It's done. It's finished. There are right now, as we speak, and I tell you, every single day when we meet at 8 a.m. and 7 p.m., dear friends, it is 131 days until the election. So this gives him a lot of time to move in Gavin Newsom. He'll try his best. He'll at least be the nominee. This is what LBJ did when I will not run, nor will I accept the nomination of your president, that kind of thing. And I've been saying this and telling you, not because I'm Nostradamus, not because I am Pythonic or Vatic, not because I can read the entrails of the beast. I knew this. Not only that, there have been scores of people all over the, dare I say, the political dark web who've known all about this. This is a very sad day for America. Very good. And that President Trump is triumphant. It was so interesting when he said, your son is a convicted felon, and you could find yourself as a convicted felon too. Meaning, when I'm president, I can indict you. And the only thing I hope for, and I want you to listen to me, especially those of you who believe in prayer, I want you to listen to me carefully. I want you to pray. I want you to pray that President Trump, becomes ruthless, not vicious, ruthless, without ruth. I want him to crush his political adversaries, because that's the way you have to be in Washington. That's the way you have to be. You can't, you just can't let like Hillary off the hook. No. You have to go for the throat. It's critical. Absolutely. Positively critical. And you've got to show, and not just for you, but for your fellow Republicans and the like. Mess with us, and we will show no mercy. And Biden, irrespective, he's not completely gone yet. You have to go for the kill. Politically, of course. Politically, we're being merely cephalogical in that. Remember this date, my friend. Remember this date. There's never been anything. You saw history tonight. You saw something. We all saw it. We all shared it. And this great country was humiliated by this sad and pathetic man and a party so devoid of humanity and respect for not only him, but for the country, that they would allow this to go on, that they would have not pulled the plug. They would have not put him in the first place. Remember what I'm telling you. We knew he was nuts since Corn Pop. That was a sign of big problems ahead. Big. But nobody paid attention. The same way they didn't pay attention to Hillary, who I think has recovered. Good for her. But when she was really those weird neurological fugues where she was, it was history, my friends. Any final words? Any final words as we share this post-mortem analysis, the worst debate in human history? It wasn't even a debate. It was like nothing I've ever seen. And again, tomorrow, watch CNN. If you want to have some comic relief, watch MSDNC, see what Joe and Meager say, because they don't go where the wind goes. They follow anything they think they're supposed to say. Alexander Felke said, looking at this debate from Germany, the USA will be in another civil war after the next election. No. We might be, and by the way, Alexander, thank you. We might be figuratively in such, but in actual war, no. And that's a good thing. Ladies and gentlemen, you see before you a man tonight who is not embarrassed for his country, because we shaped the world. I think we are a good people. But what we saw tonight in terms of the government shows you that they have no heart, they have no mind, no compassion, no strategy, no care. This to them is a game. They don't even think enough to put in the right people. And it's not just here. Look at the globalists. Putting in that word Klaus Schwab, this weird, strange man. They elected him. The climate people would allow Greta Thunberg to speak for them. They don't care. They don't seem to care to get behind a cause of these weird psychosexual freaks wanting to hurt children and mutilate. This is who they are. To open the borders so that these illegals can swarm over in order to create, as we said, a permanent Democratic Party. To repeal the filibuster, pack the Supreme Court, and make D.C. the 51st state. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much. Let me also tell you, dear friends, dear wonderful and great friends, don't forget on October the 26th, make a plan to see me at the cutting room. Can you imagine what that's going to be? 10 days before the election. 10 days in beautiful New York City. I'll have the link next time here for you, but you can go in the cutting room site, if you will, and see what that is. What a night. What a night, dear friends. And also, please follow Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. Lynn's Warriors. Her indefatigable, unmistakable, unyielding fight to make the world safe and to protect children from child predation and human trafficking. My friends, we love you. Thank you so very much. Your kindness is so appreciated. Alexander Felke or Felk, Paul Thunkum, Howie Brown, thank you. Bryn Himura, and Sean Martin, thank you. Thank you very, very much. All right, dear friends, we'll see you later on this morning at 8 a.m. for more of this as we reconvene. Have a great and a glorious evening. And don't forget, until then, my friend, as we always end with this valedictory, this sayonara, the monkey's dead, the show's over, suya, tete.